Okay, today in this lesson, we're going to go over how to paint walls. We're just going to start with some generic walls that are thrown up right here and go through different ways that we can use paint. So if we want to use paint, we're going to go to our Modify tab, and then we're going to go to our Geometry panel, and this little tool right here, it's like a little orb pointing to a square. So we do this little drop down, you can see that we can paint and we can remove the paint at the same time. So let's just go ahead and do paint. So when we start that up, any material that is already loaded into your project browser, into your materials browser, is going to show up in here. So if there was a material that you wanted to paint the wall, if you wanted to paint the wall like fuchsia or something, we'd have to create that fuchsia material first. We can only paint what we have available. So let's just paint what we have available here, and let's see how that works. So notice when I come in here, this wall lights up, and I'll click on that, and then I'll just hit done. And when I hit done, it disappears. Well, I'm in level 1, so it surely doesn't look like anything happened. So let me jump to 3D, and let me turn on my color. And now I can see that one wall has turned yellow. If I wanted to take that paint off, then I could go back up to Modify tab, Geometry panel, Paint tool, Remove paint. I can take that off there. So paint's pretty easy, but what happens if you've got a wall that splits that in two? And you want to paint this wall separate from this wall. If I go back and just do the regular paint, how I just did it, notice it's going to paint the entire wall at one time. So I want this one a different color, and I want this one a different color. So I have to take an extra step. So in order to do that, I'm going to go from a strict top-down view, zoom in a little closer here, and then I'm going to go up to same tab, Modify tab, Modify panel, and we'll notice there's a couple of little tools right here. So one is split with a gap, but we don't want to do that. We want to do split element. So this will allow us to split that wall so we can create two different paint colors. So when I do that, notice it looks like a little X-Acto knife now. And then when I come by the wall, it's going to give me a little line where it's going to dissect that wall. So I want to split it right in the middle of these two walls, so it intersects this wall that's perpendicular to it, and you'll see why in a second. So I'm just going to do it right here, and that's all there is to it, really. So now when I come back, I can click on this wall, it's separate, this wall is separate, and now when I go back to paint them, I can paint one wall one color and one wall another color. And once I'm finished painting all my walls, I hit done, and that's closed out. Then I have two separate walls. Where are we? Okay, there we are. So that's how we can create walls like this. Sometimes you'll want to create walls with a horizontal different paint color. So we're going to do the same tool. We can do it the same way. Let's go back to split and say I want first floor different color than the second floor. Well, I'm going to come in here, and sometimes it's hard to see with that front wall in. So I'll turn this, hide this, and I'll go back to my split element. And I can see that a little better now. And I'll need to go back and do each wall that I want to split right at 10 feet. So now if I spin this around, I've got this one here, I've got this one here. This one did not split in half horizontally because it's a separate wall from this one now. I'd have to split this one separately as well. This one's split in half because I selected this wall. This one's still an entire wall, which is why it's split in half the entire way. So here I can continue to paint these different colors. I'll go back to paint. Say I want to put the yellow paint on the bottom of this one. I could either unpaint it, remove paint, and then paint it. It's okay either way. Let's say if we wanted to use like a faux brick on the bottom of this and carpet on the top, we can do something like that. So you can see it really starts personalizing, and you can really start adding some really interesting design elements when you get to stuff like this. Let's do this as a realistic view just to take a look at it. So let's flip this around.
Miss Martin,
Yep.
how do you add more colors? How do you just add like if you wanted to do each one of these rooms in a different color, where do you go and just start adding colors to that palette?
Yeah, we're gonna do that next.
Cool.
I'll do that now, and it's just a repeat of what we've done before as far as creating materials. So it should be familiar. So yeah, I mean, as you saw, there's not a lot of, options for us to paint that's already been loaded into this Revit model. So we actually need to make more to really personalize it. And this is for floors, this is for walls, this is for sites, this is, anything extra that you want to create on here, roof surfaces, things like that. So remember, we're just adding materials. We're adding materials, so we have that option. And to add materials, we're going to go to Manage tab. We're going to go all the way to the left and pick materials. So we're back to this, which should look familiar again. And here, depending on how you do your design, and what I like to do is if I've got something in mind, I'll go in and I'll create all my materials or a bunch of materials at once because I know what I want to use. But you don't have to do that. You can create one at a time and go back and forth and use it and see how it looks. But the main thing is to always create your materials here. So we're going to go down to the little orb on the bottom, which says create and duplicate materials. We always want to start with create new. That's when we're going to rename this. And I'm going to call it paint. And then you can use the location, say it's for the den or building or room 1 or whatever you want to call it, and then my initials. So whatever this one paint option is going to be, I'll rename that. Then I'm going to come back down to my asset browser. All my fun stuff is now popped up here. Remember, the stuff that looks like this is specifically for walls, for paints and things like that. If you want to go crazy and make it look like tile on the wall, if you do that for like a bathroom design or something, you totally can do that. Sometimes people pick acoustical ceiling tile by accident. I would not do that. We're trying to stay away from acoustical ceiling tile, even in our design work, just so we can kind of play with it, make it a little bit fancier than that. Here we have glass walls. You can see through there. But really, I want you to kind of go, you have carte blanche to pick whatever you want to make any kind of design, especially for this beginning one. You can make it look a little crazy because remember, we're taking this old, funky building and we're going to renovate it and make it look better. So let's just pick this chartreuse wall. So I'm going to double click on that. I'm going to close this. I've got that loaded. I always want to go to graphics tab and use render appearance. Now I'm going to hit OK. Let me make one more material just so we can have some variety. So same thing, go to materials, create new, and rename. I'm going to make this flooring tile. So we have all these tile up here. See, really spend a little time in here and kind of play with it, make a bunch of stuff. Here's like a whole bunch of different siding for the for your like shakes for your exterior. There's cobblestones for your pathways outside. Field stone. And we'll make tile floor. And you can search here, but like I said, I find it frustrating sometimes. So let's pick this. All right, I got this weird blue. I got graphics. Make sure that's used. Render appearance. I'm going to rename this and call this blue tile, because in case I decide to use another tile, I'll have that name straight and won't get confused. And let's go ahead and play with the new paint that we just created. Back to Modify tab. Paint tool. And if I scroll down, you'll see the paints that I just created are now loaded in here. That's why it's so important to load this stuff in here first. It's good to create your materials first, because they're not going to be there. And you'll just get a little frustrated and have to go back and forth. So this is a good time to practice creating those materials so you can really like personalize the house and personalize the building, the office building, how you want it to look. And like I said, go crazy on this first one, and then we'll learn how to renovate it after. Go back to consistent color because I think it's easier to see in that view. I'm going to pick on this. I'm calling it floor for tile, but I can put it on the wall if I want. And then there's my paint. I'll paint here. I'll paint over this carpet here so we can see it's looking pretty terrible. Let's turn this on realistic and see how bad it looks. So we've got this bright green here, the chartreuse, we've got the tile on our wall. We've got this wall over here with the yellow on it, and then the wood siding on it as well. So yeah, I'm not using any design process even to make this look bad. I'm just kind of throwing different stuff on the wall so you can get an idea how it works. But as you can see, just adding these different things on the inside of this on our drab gray walls, it really does give us some personalization. And the more you start adding this, and when we get to a point where we do like renders and walkthroughs, it's going to look really cool when we do the rendering and you get your design idea to kind of start coming to life and stuff like that. So that's what's good about this first part of the project. We're not, it's just a matter of making that floor plan exactly per the instructions, and then you can go ahead and go a little crazy and make the, use this time as a practice time to go back and do that. Now, when we do the renovation, we'll be removing some of that and using a more defined design technique at that time, so we can make, you know, our walls, you know, our building look more modern and things like that. But it's also supposed to be fun. So just kind of play with this for a little bit and, you know, go crazy and make it, you know, look as crazy as you want to. I've had some people do an entire metal building with different metal shades, which, you know, looks pretty cool. And then I've had some people try and do like retro 70s kind of thing, interiors. Some people have just, you know, done super basic, where it's easy to come back and renovate it later. But the main thing is to change and add a lot of this stuff. So when we look at it and compare it to the new building, we can see the process that you've made from, you know, what somebody comes to you with like an old building, and have you use those ideas and you've done the renovations and you've done the changes to make this like a real modern showplace. So that's it for the new stuff today. Just doing the paint. And I just want you to concentrate on getting that building to where it needs to be. You do not need to do anything more than what has already been asked of you on here. Don't worry about that yet. We are going to cover more stuff. We're going to do more complex sites and things like that. But in order to do the renovation work, I need to have you start with a regular building. And then we'll jump into renovation work. Will start on Monday. And just follow this information here. You should have all this information now, including paint, to get this done. If you wanted to put like, you know, 7-foot ceilings in one room and be like, oh, who, you know, this building's so old, it's got a 7-foot ceiling, that doesn't make any sense. And then we can, you know, compare it to the new building where you raise that to like a 10-foot ceiling or something, or how we'll do that. But just kind of play with it. Think of it like Sims, and you can make any kind of building that you want at this time per these parameters right here. Any questions, y'all?
This is due on the 9th.
On the 9th, yes. So
But
it's due on Saturday. That way, I really want to take the time on Sunday to review these projects. And that way, when I can give you your notes and stuff like that, that way, when you come back and we start on the 11th, we can kind of, you know, take off from there. If it's not done on the 9th, like if you like one person's, you know, slips by on the early morning on the 10th, that's fine. You know, I'm not giving you a letter grade for this. It's just a, you know, if you turned it in or not, so I can check your progress on it. So this is not going to be graded per se, but I do need this set in order to start. It's real important to have this complete before we start the renovation.
okay.
Okay, cool. Any other questions, y'all? All right, if there's,
all good.
yeah, go ahead.
Oh, no, all good.
Oh, okay. If there are any questions, remember, shoot me a text. But just go ahead and play with this, and I look forward to seeing your work and the ideas that you come up with, especially with the paint and stuff like that. So I'll be having a chance to run through that. If you do get finished early, you can turn it in early. Excuse me, turn it in early. No problem. No problem there. With the hiccups. All right. I think on that note, with the hiccups, I think we'll end class. Unless anybody's got any other questions. No other
My
questions?
only question is,
Yes.
are you gonna post this pretty quickly? I can't remember. I'm trying to figure out how to split that wall again to paint separate walls. And I know it's in the video. If you're gonna post it, I can go grab that.
Yeah, I'll post it right after class.
Cool, thanks.
All right. Sounds good, everybody. Good luck, and I will see you next Monday. Bye, y'all.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thank you.